Most people look at Neon Genesis Evangelion and see a legendary anime. They're wrong. When you look at the numbers, Evangelion is actually one of the most successful high ticket sales letters ever written. It generated over $400 million. Not by accident, but by executing a specific business framework, a disruptor's worksheet that applies to any industry. Hideaki Anno didn't just write a show, he executed a 5 step funnel that shattered an entire market. The first step of the disruptor's worksheet is to identify the standard industry model, the unwritten rules everyone plays by. In 1995, the Japanese animation industry was running on a rigid blueprint: build a cool robot, create a brave pilot, sell plastic toys to children. The whole system rested on a simple, predictable premise. Kids are happy, they want to see awesome power fantasies, and that will make them go out and buy merchandise. Simple, straightforward, and 100% wrong. The industry was literally selling maps to a country that had vanished from the face of the earth. Anno didn't just ignore this model, he documented it so he could dismantle it. Next, you have to find the invisible assumptions that model is built on. The industry assumed two things were absolute laws of physics: teens want power, and robots are cool tools. They assumed merchandise sales were the only metric that mattered. These weren't laws, they were liabilities. But look at Japan in 1995. A whole generation was raised on a simple promise: work hard, get a good job, and you'll be set for life. By 1995, that promise was a total lie. The economic bubble had burst, destroying the financial future for millions of young people. They felt betrayed, anxious, and completely powerless. So trying to sell them a happy power fantasy? It wasn't just bad marketing, it was kind of an insult. And I realized the entire industry was building products for an audience that didn't exist anymore. This is the secret sauce. You have to ask, what does the industry wish was true about its customers? The anime industry wished their audience was still happy, optimistic children. But the reality? The real audience was standing right there, feeling betrayed and ignored. Anno found his big idea by asking the one question that defines great contrarian marketing: what if everything we think we know about our audience is the exact opposite of the truth? And here's what that inversion looks like in action. If the market assumes teens want to feel powerful, what if the reality is they feel totally powerless? If the industry says robots are cool tools, what if they're actually horrifying biological monsters? If the industry says pilots are brave heroes, what if the pilot is a broken, terrified kid who wants to be anywhere else? If the market offers escapism, what if the audience actually craves validation of their pain? He realized the gap between the industry's wishful thinking and the customer's actual reality was where the disruption lived. This wasn't just being dark for the sake of being dark, this was a calculated marketing move. It's called a pattern interrupt. In a sea of shows that all look and sound the same, the only way to get noticed is to be so radically different that the market has to stop in its tracks and pay attention. Finally, you build the solution that reflects reality. Every other show was offering escapism, a distraction from the grim reality of post-bubble Japan. Anno did the complete opposite. He didn't try to soothe his audience's pain, he amplified it. He showed them their own confusion, their own fear, their own anger right there on the screen. He validated their nightmare. Competitors were offering Monster of the Week toy commercials that reset every episode. Anno offered a serialized psychological autopsy of a broken child, where the story got progressively worse, mirroring the audience's own growing sense of dread. He traded a business model based on selling cheap plastic for one based on forging a direct, powerful emotional connection. It was engineered success. The goal was never just a quick sale of a plastic toy. It was about forging an emotional connection by selling validation. By identifying the assumptions holding the industry hostage and shattering them, Anno created a point of no return moment. The connection he built was so strong that his audience is still buying merchandise 3 decades later. That's the power of creating lifetime value. You're not just getting a one-time customer, you're creating a lifelong fan. Once you see this pattern, you'll start to see it everywhere. Christopher Nolan took the cheerful superhero model and inverted it by asking, what if the hero is just as destructive as the villain? Netflix destroyed Blockbuster by inverting their business model and asking, what if there were no late fees? Kendrick Lamar inverted hip-hop's materialism by asking, what if true wealth is internal? It's the same blueprint over and over again. But there is a critical warning label here. This kind of disruption only works if you are the first one to do it. Anno had about 18 months, maybe 2 years, before the market was flooded with copycats. The advantage isn't just in being different, it's in being the one who shatters the old rules before anyone else even realizes they can be broken. So that brings us to you. Like, what's the standard model in your world? What's the one core assumption that everyone treats as law but might just be a lie? This framework proves that finding the invisible walls in your industry isn't just creatively satisfying, it's the blueprint for a $400 million empire. Now go find it.